Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John Ferry, and welcome to New Zealand Tattoo. Today, it was my great pleasure to talk to Raniera McGrath, who's a Ta Moko specialist in the far north of New Zealand. It was a really great conversation today, learning about his journey in tattooing, as well as his passion for education and te reo. Please make sure you follow his work under Moko Kauri _Ta Moko. And if you like this conversation, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and look out for all the conversations that are coming up. Hey, bro.
Kia ora, bro. Sorry about that, man.
How are you?
Hectic, bro.
Big day, eh?
Oh, every day is a big day, bro.
Nice. Cool, man. Hey, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Nah, all goods, bro. All goods.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. A little bit echoey there.
Okay. Maybe that's me.
Think that might just because you're in the studio, eh?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Where are you? Just at home at the moment, are you?
Oh, yeah. I built a private studio on our home, but I'm in the office now.
Oh, epic. Oh, you got the office as well. Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good adult thing to do.
Business expenses, bro.
As many as you can. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I gave you too much information about kind of why I'm doing this, but basically what I'm looking to do is I'm such a massive fan of tattooing and New Zealand tattooers and tattooing especially. So what I'm just keen to do is just find out a bit more information about the people behind the art. And I mean, I've been looking at your stuff for quite a while now, and I absolutely adore all sorts of Moko and Ta Moko, Maori art, carving, painting, all that sort of stuff. And you're obviously quite a front runner in New Zealand for that, for the tattoo side of things. So I was really, really keen to just have a chat to you about kind of your journey.
Sure.
Cool, awesome. So like easiest place to start is the start.
Yeah. Oh, cheer, bro. No. Well, thanks for all of these kind words anyway.
But, sorry, there was quite a lot there. I kind of rambled.
But yeah, I guess, for myself, I was always captured by those old paintings, from Goldie, Lindau and all that kind of stuff of our tupuna, the painted ancestors, I guess, and for me, it was like, wow, when you look at them, you could actually feel something, eh? There was that mana. I don't know if the English word is right, but maybe regal, you could feel like power and in the sense of pride and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it always intrigued me, which was interesting because I never really, when I was growing up, I actually grew up on the Chatham Islands for my first 10 years of life.
No way. Wow.
We didn't have everyday TV like everybody else,
Yeah.
We milked a wild cow and all that kind of stuff, and had a generator and we fished for food. And so I wasn't really exposed, like kids are and people are today with the internet and all these images now that they can see. But for some reason, those images of those tupuna who were painted by them always kind of stuck in my head. Always captured my eyes and my heart and everything, and as I got older and we moved back to the mainland, I guess, and went to high school, I wasn't really interested in art because art in school was mainstream art, eh? And I wasn't really interested in painting spheres, circles,
fruit bowls.
Fruit bowls and all that kind of stuff. It didn't appeal to me at all, so I wasn't really keen on doing any of that. So I never studied art at school.
Sure.
Although while I was at school, and my parents never knew while I was at school, I went to Auckland Boys Grammar for a little bit before I went to Mount Albert, and I used to go and dodge school a little bit, and I used to go and learn how to carve. I was learning to carve from this master carver named Kamera.
Right.
And Kauri Wilson, he was an old fella, very well known, humble man. And so I was learning, I guess that was my first instance of dabbling into like Maori arts and carving and all that kind of stuff,
Cool.
And,
how did you link in with him?
Through my father. My father had met him along the way somehow, and through like multicultural groups and whānau groups, kind of that kind of stuff. And he got interested in it. And then I was going along as a young kid, 14, 15 years old. And,
right.
you know, they would say, oh, here, jump on the chisel, boy, have a go, you know. And that's where it all really started for me.
Cool.
What was with him, Kamera Wilson, you know. And yeah, well, it was humbling when I look back on it now, you know, from not studying arts like normal people do. However, as I went through and they went to uni and all that kind of stuff and did my various degrees, I ended up going to Toi Haukura in the East Coast, Maori Visual Arts School. And I was fortunate enough to be tutored by and mentored by Derek Lardali, you know, who's one of our top Ta Moko artists, Maori artists in general, I guess, you know.
Yeah, sure.
His wisdom around not just the Maori art world, but also the mainstream art world, and also around tikanga Maori and karakia and whakapapa and all of these things. For me, he was like, oh yeah, this fella's the man.
Yeah, upper echelon, yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
amazing.
For sure. Yeah, he's probably one of the few people I'd actually say, you know, is a tohunga for what he does, you know. He's the well-trained, knows his shit.
Yeah, master, eh?
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah. Yes, I was fortunate to be mentored and tutored by him.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're able to do that from obviously skipping school to be able to be tutored that, and then to go to him to get that as well. That's a cool transition.
Oh yeah, you know, then coming out of it with a formal degree in Maori Visual Arts, you know, it's
amazing.
It just shows that, you know, when you're passionate about something, you're gonna succeed in it, eh? You know, even though I might not have been good at some things at school, which might have made me wag school, you know, to learn this carving. Once I did find that passion, that was me. Eh?
Well, I think in these sorts of conversations that I'm having, I'm finding that quite a lot where maybe it's a little different with schooling these days, but especially in the last kind of 20 years, maybe so many people that are not great at school, they've got passion for something that they're either not aware of or that they are, but they aren't given that opportunity to focus on it because they said, go to maths, go to science, go to English, but you might be really keen on arts and the school doesn't go, okay, you're good at art, just focus on art. Just, you know, don't worry about everything else. So with the carving, is that pen on paper first or are you straight into the wood?
Oh, yeah, well, there was a little bit of pen on paper, you know, learning designs and all this kind of stuff. What is a kōwhaiwhai, you know, what is the pūoro, trying to learn all that basic stuff. But there was a lot of hands-on stuff, you know, there wasn't so much theory. I guess it was like learning on the job. Yeah. You know, you learn by making mistakes, you know, you learn by, you cut your finger. Yeah. you learn about safety by actually making mistakes. Eh? Yeah, cool. Yeah. I mean, carving is quite similar to tattooing, right? You know, too deep and you get a big chunk out, or not deep enough, and it's just gonna, you know, it's not gonna age very well in terms of the carving and stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's for sure. You know, and I saw I guess I'd taken those lessons I learned from carving over into when I was learning modern Maori art, I guess, you know, where Toi Haukura, doing moko with Derek and them, and took those same lessons over into that world and applied them, or you know, it was same thing. You couldn't afford to fuck up, you know, if you poked yourself, or then there could possibly be infections and you know. So So with the carving and the Maori arts, were you what sort of other art forms were you getting into? Well, really, those have always been my main art forms. I've never done any like mainstream tattoos, you know, like a butterfly or script or anything like that. I've always just been, I guess, very proud in my culture, you know, and where I'm from, and which is going to schools like Auckland Grammar. They weren't very accommodating for someone like that, you know, which probably pushed me in the direction of being even more staunch and proud of who I am and where I come from, you know, and which is why I was also fortunate to be mentored by a lot of elders, kaumātua from where I'm from, and they'd always them and Derek would always talk about quality of work, you know, workmanship, you know, whether it's tattooing, you know, with ta moko, or whether it's whakairo, the carving, or whether it's how you're dealing with people, you know, it's everything had to be about quality, you know. representation, because you represent not just yourself, you actually represent your family, your whānau,
Absolutely.
you know, your hapu and your iwi, your marae. So if you muck up, then
representation of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So with the on coming out of the Maori Arts school, what was your transition into Ta Moko? Or was it, had it already started?
Yeah, well, I was learning when we were toi haukura, you were selected to learn Ta Moko, I guess, you know. At the start, there might have been X amount, 30, 40 people, you know, and then by the end of it, there was only like 4 or 5 of us.
Yeah, so pretty decent selection process.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about how good you were as an artist, but it come down to those tikanga kind of things, you know. Do you do the dishes? When everyone comes in, you know, all of those things, you sweep the floor, you know, it came down to the total package.
Yeah.
Look back on it now, to be honest.
Cool.
You know?
And so what was the learning process for that? Like what was the journey into that? Was it quite a long process of watching and just studying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we did a lot of watching, you know, watching Derek and Mark Kopua and Turu Makina, and those are the ones who I really look up to, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for me being from the north, there was Gordon, you know, G-Boy, you know, those fellas, they were like the epitome, I think that's the correct, you know, of what they were doing, you know, of what they were doing. And so, yeah, we did a lot of observation, stretching for Derek and them, and Tu and Mark and all that kind of stuff. And also, obviously, as you're doing that kind of stuff with them, you're talking, you're learning, you're seeing how they implement and how they use their machines. And each artist was very different there and how they operated, you know, from the shading to the fine line technique to block and how they designed. And yeah, it was actually, we're quite lucky, fortunate to be able to be around those people.
Amazing education.
Yeah, it was hands-on.
Absolutely, yeah, that's epic. So when did you, or do you remember the first tattoo that you did, the transition? Yeah.
Well, I remember the first moko I did, I bought my cousin a box. Put my cousin in the box, you know, and then as I was, because I was traveling from here, Kaitaia, down to Gisborne, you know, for my studies and all that. So I'd come home, then I'd go back down, come home, go back down.
A big trek, man.
Oh yeah, it was like 12 hours. I think I'd have like 2 Vs or something.
Yeah.
Give me home, you know. But because I lived with my grandfather and at the time, and so when I was coming home, I was, you know, practicing on the kazis and
so good.
Yeah, you learn from your.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you'd graduated from in Gisborne, did you head straight back north and just start tattooing from there, or were you dedicated to another art form first?
So actually, I also have a postgrad diploma in teaching. So
cool,
because you know it's a big step, to go from right, I'm going to be a committed artist, whether it's Ta Moko, tattooing, carving, whatever it is, you know, and you think, oh, I've got to pay my bills, pay the rent, you know, this and that, and so one of my other passions outside of Ta Moko and Maori Arts is te reo and history, so teaching that. So I was teaching at a local school up here, Tarangia Niwa. And then after a while, I felt like I could teach a little bit more and reach a wider community through Moko, you know. Cool. And so I'd made that decision to, okay, if I want to give this a go, I need to be like 100% go all in, or don't bother, you know, you're just going to be a scratcher or whatever. Yeah. And so that was me. One day I said, okay, that's no more formally teaching in schools. Sure. And then I dove straight into doing Ta Moko in 2009. I started Moko Kauri, and yeah, it's been a couple of years now. And
yeah, if you say 2009, that's decent, man.
Yeah.
Really cool. And so obviously, I mean, especially like before having a chat with you, I've been looking a lot at your Instagram. That teaching side of things is obviously still within you, and obviously has been. And it's, I don't know if it's just starting to get quite broad now, but obviously you've got your books, you've got the te rero all over your Instagram, and obviously you've got the clothing as well. Is that something you've been doing for a while, and I'm just kind of noticing it now, or is that something you're just really starting to branch out in?
Yeah, I'm kind of big on that whole hustle in the background, you know.
Yep.
Hustle in the background. They need to be out there talking and stuff. And I've just been, I've always been passionate about te reo and history and teaching, and I've held many wānanga and taught many classes and all this kind of stuff. But lately now, due to COVID and all that, you know, it's enabled me to actually come back in and start having that balance again between doing moko and teaching. And what's the beauty about now with me doing moko for so long, I don't know if this sounds good enough, but I'm able to, I don't have to do every Tom, Dick and Harry that come off the street anymore.
Absolutely,
you know
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So you've created a good clientele base where you can choose the people that you want to work with. Because, you know, to be honest, you know, you're going to be straight up. When you're first starting off, you're just going to, people coming in, you're going to do them, you know, so that you're getting more time on the skin and all that kind of stuff. But having when I did have a shop, a studio in town in Kaitaia, you know, you do get a lot of idiots. You know, and some people, they don't like it that you don't do normal tattoos. You know, I've been called a racist because I won't do a butterfly. And they say it's because I'm a racist. You know, and all this kind of stuff. And so by having a private studio and having a different clientele base, you get to actually, because you have a relationship with your clients. Yeah, really, you form a relationship with your clients, you know, and you want to sit there with them if they're good people. But if you're stuck with them enabling and you guys don't connect and you're just clashing, and I'm not about that. No matter how much money they chuck at me, if we don't vibe, then, you know, I'd rather them go to someone else where they can vibe with.
Absolutely. Yeah, I understand that completely. I've done well, probably too many, but tattoos where you're just not feeling the person, and it just you can't connect to the piece. You don't have your heart in it. It's really uncomfortable.
Oh, that's right. You know, and so the good thing about COVID, you know, I can say, no, these are my days that are open. Man, I'm getting people that are coming in and going, yep, we're keen, we want that, you know, let's go for it. And at the same time, I can balance it now with teaching te reo in localized language to which is, there's a lot more people now who are wanting to learn who they are, and it's about identity. And if you look at moko is really about identity. So the language, te reo Maori and ta moko, they go hand in hand really with people now today finding their identity and asserting that, being proud of who they are, whether they're a Maori or a Pākehā, a Kiwi, or even someone, a wharana who's married in, you know, they all want to represent where they come from. They want to represent their story. And that's what I'm big about. I'm not really one that, I find it hard personally for me to design a moko if there's no story. Like just as a picture, it's like I got no inspiration. I don't know how to do it, you know. So for me, it's about when people come to me, they say, "Oh yeah, this is the story that I want to tell," you know? And it's up to you and how you tell that story. And then at least then when I'm going back to them, I can say, "This is what this means, and this is how you tell that story."
Yeah, amazing.
And then it creates that I guess it's even more personal way.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a deeper connection there, especially between yourself and the client, and when that person's wearing it, they can, you know, they're deeper connected to it and can tell their story to people because it's been created for that purpose, right?
Yeah, that's right. You know, and everyone's, you know, every artist has their own different kind of process and sikang on how they deal with all of it, you know, and each their own. But that's just, for me, that's my momo, that's my type of thing that I like to do anyway.
Beautiful, man. It's so nice to hear. As you say, around a lot more people kind of wanting to know their or wanting to represent their Māoridom. It's amazing. Like, it gives me shivers to think about, like, friends of mine that are Māori that are just in the last couple of years have been really trying to connect with their ancestry, trying to learn the language, like really passionately learning everything that they can, and then working their way into getting some ta moko, and then it's almost like they especially the people that I'm experiencing, that they want to learn an internal side of it, and then they're comfortable to share the external, which is the ta moko representation.
Yeah, fully. I've found that some people that I've put moko onto, it's actually like a catalyst, for them with their learning, with their journey on discovery and all that kind of stuff. And, what it's like if once you get one tat or whatever it is, next minute their whole body's covered, their addiction.
Yeah. So good.
And that's
those people halfway through going, oh yeah, I think we should probably do the other side.
Yeah.
So how long did you have your shop in Kaitaia?
Probably I closed it down maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, 4 years ago. 5 years ago. I was doing a lot of traveling overseas, everywhere.
Was that for like conventions or just guest spotting to do art, or both?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Nice. I wasn't into conventions too much. I like supporting the local conventions.
Yeah.
But I'd go even guest spot and just on demand, I guess,
Yeah, amazing.
Amsterdam or something, or we're England, and you get to meet some cool people, and you get to see how many we're quite known, throughout the world.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I was talking to Lance Hadfield not long ago, and also Sam Clayton, who I would imagine you know both, and just how awesome the New Zealand tattoo scene is, and how much it's actually respected overseas. It's amazing. Obviously, we've got such a great ancestry here with the ta moko, but just I mean, these days the type of art that's been produced is unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah, that's right. We fortunate just to have one of my good mates. He's living up the road now in Kai, or Matt Jordan.
Yeah.
And he's like big international artist and all that. And it's like, wow, we're lucky to have in the north someone of that caliber up here. Who's
Absolutely.
not only a videoist but a great artist. And
yeah,
I think not all in New Zealand is, man, heaps of the bros.
Yeah.
And I look at them and their work, I'm going, wow.
I see you and Matt having a bit of to and fro with the fishing and the hunting. It's quite cool.
Yeah, fishing, and that's the other thing too. You need to have that balance,
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's sometimes the balance gets a little bit like this,
Yeah.
Not in balance. But the fishing and the hunting and all that kind of stuff is, I think, well, for me personally, we all need that grounding,
Yeah.
And it humbles you. Tangaroa, the moana, and tāne, they'll humble you, if you think you're the shit. Man,
Absolutely.
you can't do that out of the moana, and so especially for some artists I've seen, sometimes the heads can get a bit swollen,
Yeah. I mean, if you're hearing constantly how good you are, how can it not? You need those sorts of things to humble you. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And clients will actually put you up there on a pedestal because you have marked their skin, and it's a big deal to mark someone's skin, to shed their blood, and so you can see how that happens.
Yeah.
When I lived with my grandfather, starting out doing moko and all that, every morning I'd wake up, and I'd walk into the lounge, and he'd be up. He'd be like, "Oh, you're not a rangatira yet, boy." Just humbles you every day.
Yeah, so good.
Up, and,
you need it. So how much of your time is spent outside? Obviously, because with the profession that you're in, it's a lot of time inside. Are you pretty into getting out there as much as possible?
Yeah,
the playground up there is amazing. You've got everything you need up there, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Like, it's flat at the moment, but I'm here for our hui.
Yeah, nice, good. Do you want to go?
Nah. But yeah, no, that's it. It's I'm big about whānau and taking now. My kids, got 5 kids. So take them into the bush and take them onto the moana, go fishing. Because there's more than learning than just in school.
Absolutely. Yeah,
science when you're fishing, and when you're gutting the fish and all that kind of stuff, and how to do it, and then they know. My kids will learn where food comes from.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel that completely. I don't know what it is, since I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and ever since having them, I feel this real need to provide, real but not by working and creating dollars to buy stuff, but to actually source. It's cool. So you've got 5 kids. That's epic, man.
Yeah. So it's cool, and it's a journey. It's a learning lessons. It's everything,
Absolutely.
Oh, so that kakahu side of things, our older girls, they kind of running that, even though I might design them up and all that kind of stuff, but they kind of, for me, it was about teaching them about the business,
Yeah, cool.
And because it's Moko Kauri is a whānau business, they're learning on how they're contributing as well, to the whole whare, to our whānau. So they're learning the tools of, taking orders, packing, how to do everything is right, and it all goes to them, all the pay goes to them, really. So it's about teaching them about everyday life skills. Here's tax, gonna get pulled this off because
Are any of them artistic and want to kind of follow in your footsteps?
My 4-year-old boy, he goes to school with my gloves and my Sharpies.
Nice.
And he's drawn on all his kids, on all his friends and his teachers.
So good. So good. Yeah, I got one of my 3-year-olds kindergarten teachers puts tattoos on him daily just because he's always asking for them. It's so good.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think we need to encourage that, As a young fella, I remember getting told off for drawing on myself.
Yeah.
Or drawing in my books.
Yeah.
In school. But for me, when I was learning at school, if I was scribbling, that's how I remembered things.
Cool.
But when we were younger, man, you get scolded for doing all that stuff.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I remember doing it with vivids on my face at the age of like 7 and just, being sent to scrub it off with soap and not good.
Yeah, fully.
So what's the so with the Te Reo books, is that one that you've got on the wall behind you? Is that a cover?
Oh yeah. That's a cover. That's my grandmother up there. She's
Beautiful.
85 or something with a crayfish up there. But so it was about, how do we revitalize our language and our local dialect and words and all that kind of stuff. And so we were fortunate enough to be to get some sponsorship and all that,
cool.
and support to create these books, and which came into good because of the COVID stuff. We weren't allowed to do moko at the time.
Perfect timing.
So it was quite good timing. I think everything happens for a reason at certain times,
Yeah.
And so we produced 15 different stories for kohanga reo, from babies up to our senior kids, just telling local stories.
Cool.
Histories, and we're going to do some more books next year and kind of just aim it at our younger kids and make it, instead of being historical stories, kind of make it relevant today, about diggers and all that kind of stuff, and utilizing our art forms and to help portray those stories, to get them engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love saying that. Like, I've always wanted to illustrate a book before, like children's stories. They're just amazing because I feel like they're the ones that you remember more than anything, especially if it's got a really good illustrative quality. And obviously, I've only seen the little snippets that you put on Instagram, but they look like they're going to be really engaging. It's quite cool. And especially if it's, you're also then learning te reo with it. Are they, because I would imagine your goal would for it to be across Aotearoa. Are they translated as well, or is it just te reo?
We just done it in te reo at the moment, because what we found in schools, there's not actually much resources for like te reo resources for one, or even resources that are in our local dialect.
Sure.
But that's where we're wanting to get to, is to be able to produce them so that they're available to everybody. Yeah. Because not all Northlanders live in the north. Most of them live in Auckland.
Yeah.
They're available to everybody. But we want to produce some that become bilingual to help everybody that wants to also learn Māori alongside their kids, their tamariki. But we have vocab lists at the back and even activities so that they can practically use them, and
wow. So good, man. And so what is obviously, like, you guys have been back in since this most recent lockdown. I can see you wanting to get out there, so I won't keep you for too long.
No. I saw someone was pulling out. I was like, oh.
Taking the boat. You guys have obviously been back into it for a little while now since the most recent lockdown. But what does the next couple of years look like for you in terms of what you're doing with the home studio, what you're doing with the books? Have you got any other big plans happening?
Yeah, so we're doing with the home studio. We had their home studio here for 2 years now.
Cool.
And you know, we've been doing the books now since last year. And well, I'm booked up pretty much until February. All of this stuff. So it's just expanding and trying to grow, well, I guess Moko Kauri with Moko, with the real possibly books and illustrations, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Just expanding on to bring in the rest of our whānau, bring them all on board. Cool, and a lot of the stuff that we do, we've got some arts project coming up for Kaitaia that we're doing as well. And I know I'm big on that, you know. Let's bring everybody into the table that we can that are close to us, so we can all eat at the same table, you know, and sharing it around a bit. So it's growing us all together as one, I guess, you know.
Cool, man.
Keep on doing moko and keep on doing what we love, you know. And I think once your passion dies, then there's no use doing it if you don't have that fire burning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is there any other moko artists around New Zealand that you are really keeping an eye on, that whether they're like up and coming artists or ones that have been around for yonks, you know?
Yeah, you know, on Instagram and all, that's where you keep up to play with everybody who's doing what, you know, throughout the motu. I'm not don't really want to say everybody's name. If I miss someone out, one of the praise they might get.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But there's some wicked work coming out, and then there's some awesome artists now that are males and females, the younger generation coming through. They're still all like the kaumātua of the game, you know, with Gordon and Mark and all of them, and you know, and Turumaki and Adulis too, the bro, and you know, who are still pumping and Hohu and all that, you know. Then you got all the bros, Sai and all of that, you know, and the native crew and Tāmaki, and man, they're everywhere. Yeah, Horapas, you know, it's 2009. I think there was a study went around, maybe Mark did it. It might have been 100 Tā Moko artists who were actually trained in moko. You know, there's a whole lot of people who say they're moko artists. Yeah. Because it's a dollar thing, eh? And say they're doing Maori motifs and they're claiming, but that's another argument. But there's a whole, since that time, 2008, I guess, you know, when we were learning, when there was 100 odd artists that they knew of. Now there's probably 100 artists just in Auckland, you know. Yeah. That these artists, it's just blowing up, which is awesome, you know. It's awesome. It shows that the culture is alive. Us as home here in New Zealand, Aotearoa, you know, it's the culture of tattooing and moko and all that. It's booming because we're finding it is our identity, eh? Yeah. And we're proud to be from where we're from.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm doing this, is because it's such a good time to be a part of the industry, whether you're a tattooist, whether you're a tattoo enthusiast, you're someone that just wanting to get their first tattoo. The options in New Zealand are endless at the moment, and especially if you want to go traditional with Tā Moko, if you want contemporary Tā Moko or contemporary Maori designs, there's just options out there for everyone. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so for sure. You know, it's like, you know, when people come to me, if they do want like a dragon or something, or Polynesian work, you know, I'll tell them, because I view myself as a specialist for moko. Yeah. And I'll say, now you go over there and see the bros who are, and you know, go see these bros, and they're the specialists in that art form, doing lettering or doing black and grey or doing colour work, you know. Go over there and see Cohen or Steve Marching, you know, and or Andy and them down in Wellington, and all high school, you know, because for me, it's about, for your body, you should get the best work as, you know, possible on your body. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if it's on your doorstep, you know, so you might as well, like, don't just settle for the closest studio.
No, that's right, you know. And for me, there's no excuse anymore for getting rubbish tats or moko. Yeah. Because it's easy to jump online and go, what do you want, you know, and see what their portfolios. You know, back in the days, we had to go to the tattoo shop and look through their portfolios. Yeah. And you don't know if those portfolios are actually theirs, you know, and then that's one thing I've noticed on my travels around NZ and Australia is bumped in and you see your own work in that studio, in their portfolios, you know. Where it's changed now. If you want to actually see what someone's portfolio is, you just go online and check out the Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, that's epic, man. Hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time, man. You've obviously got some flat surf out there. You can go for a fish, maybe. And but I greatly appreciate your time, man.
No, all good to you though. The wife was saying, "Come on,
Yeah. No, all good, man. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
No, all good, brother.
Awesome, bro. Cool, man. See you, bro.